Ballad of Harry Farr.
In 1916, near Old Carnoy town, a British bullet brought Harry Farr down.
Under dawn's cruel grey skies, no one knows where his body lies.
But you, I beg, who want fair play, although no one listened in Harry's day, there is one thing we ask you to do. Tell us his story, and we'll listen to you.
Harry's record of service was first class. For 2 years his bravery unsurpassed. Then a shell tossed him through the grey air.
It left his mind, churned into despair. He begged for help to ease his pain.
Understanding was none.
Only blame.
An example is made to show the men obedience and discipline must transcend.
A trial convened
With 3 officers as staff, but no soldier's friend on Harry's behalf.
A verdict condemned him for eternity.
As worthless.
nameless.
No memory.
His wife and child await his return. Worse news to come, a letter to burn. Stigma of shame cuts deep for years. Bitterness bites,
Forget him.
no tears.
Turn over.
Start anew.
Don't say his name.
But the women do not accept this shame.
90 years for justice was a long wait.
For all young men condemned by their state.
But you, I beg, who want fair play, although no one listened in Harry's day, there is one thing we ask you to do. Tell us his story, and we'll listen to you.
Our tale for you this evening is a very simple one.
A simple tale.
Not so much an entertainment,
More an education.
About the man who disappeared.
And the woman who tried to remember him.
Before he disappeared.
for more than 80 years.
He just disappeared.
No one spoke his name.
Or if they did, it was in quiet whispers.
We want you to remember these facts, please.
And then perhaps we might all learn a lesson.
Personally, we never knew this man who disappeared.
We were merely observers.
Witnesses.
Friends.
Bystanders.
But nevertheless, this is the story of a real person.
Not some theatrical concoction.
Not some dramatic fantasy.
Not some invented melodrama.
Harry.
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 Harry,
Harry.
Harry Farr. That was his name.
the man who disappeared.
Harry. Good old Anglo-Saxon name.
Harry.
It's derived from the name Henry.
Like Henry VIII.
Or Henry V, the warrior king.
Harry Farr.
He could have been your brother.
He could have been your father.
Or your favourite uncle.
A friend you'd played with in the schoolyard.
But you must understand, there was really nothing special about Harry Farr.
This is the man who disappeared.
However, we want you to remember these facts, please.
Remember the facts.
So that way, we might all learn a lesson.
Because you see, our tale for you this evening is a very simple one.
A simple tale.
But an important one nevertheless.
An important one.
So please, give us your full attention.
Please.
In the last scene, Harry was played by Matthew. Throughout our play, a different person plays Harry in each scene. Why? Because, as we said, Harry was like all of us. He was like me, or him, or her, or you. We're all Harry. Throughout our play, this piece of material will come to represent Harry, as it stands for the piece of paper that was pinned over the heart of the condemned soldier, showing the firing squad where to aim. But first, we have our pre-war Harry, played by Elliot.
Harry Farr was born in North Kensington in London in 1891.
Harry's father had been a soldier who fought with distinction in the Boer War.
His mother,
Well, she was just his mother.
Loving, scolding, industrious.
Careworn.
Sewing, mending,
washing, cleaning.
Mending, sewing.
Cleaning, washing.
Looking after a large family on very little money.
6 boys and 1 girl.
As a family, they weren't very well off at all.
In fact, we were always very short of cash. There were lots of poor people in North Kensington then.
But we had a big loving family despite the poverty.
And as a young lad, there was really nothing special about Harry.
Harry loved squabbling with his brother sometimes, irritated his sister Nellie sometimes. Always loved going to the public baths in Mortimer Street.
And dreamed of being a soldier.
Just like his dad.
So it's no surprise that Harry, after leaving school, joined the British Army in May 1908.
Number 8871, Private Harry Farr, 1st Battalion, West Yorkshire Regiment.
Harry did well in the army. In fact, he rose to the rank of corporal.
Had an excellent record.
Until 1911, when Harry decided he wanted to try something different.
So, Harry left the army.
And then, he met Gertrude.
Gertrude Young. I was just 16 when I met Harry. I was in service then. I'd left school at age 12, even though all my friends said I was clever, and I'd passed all my exams. But Mum needed the money.
Gertrude was working as a kitchen maid for them that was rich enough to have maids.
Me and Harry started walking out together, and sometimes, when we had a bit of money, we'd go to the music hall on Edgware Road.
When I met Gertrude, I was working as a scaffolder, erecting big steel girders on these picture palaces, hospitals that were going up in the area. It was dangerous work, climbing high.
Of an evening, not every evening you'd know, he'd come round to the place where I was working in St Giles Square. The square, that's what we'd call it.
I'd give her a whistle, like to tell her I was there.
I was working in the kitchen, and I'd see him through the kitchen window.
He's out there again, your boyfriend. You look too posh for the likes of you, Gertrude Young.
So then, I'd ask Cook if I could go out for a few minutes to post a letter. I was a naughty girl, you see, because I didn't have a letter to post. But I'd go and talk with him in my cap and apron.
And we talk about what we were going to do when Gertrude had her next day off.
I mean, I only got 1 day off in those days.
Harry was a very smart-looking man, pleasant, happy sort of character.
He had brown curly hair and green eyes.
That's what it said in his army papers, but they looked more like a dark grey to my mind.
So, Harry married Gertrude Young in September in Kensington 1912.
Harry was several years older than me, and my family felt he was too old for me.
Gertie, he's too old for you, Gertie.
He's 5 years older than you.
Definitely too old for the likes of a young lass like you, Gertie.
Don't rush into something you might regret.
I tell you, he's too old for you.
Well, I love him, and I'm going with him, and that's that.
After the ceremony, we had our photograph taken in the studios in Handy Lane.
Proper posh it was. I'd bought a new hat, and Harry had bought me a wristwatch. It was too expensive, I said.
You only get married once, Gertrude. Everyone deserves a bit of luxury now and then, even the likes of us.
To Harry and Gertrude, a happy and prosperous marriage.
To Harry and Gertrude. But life was tough on the newlyweds.
16 shillings a week was what we had to live on.
South Kensington was where all the big posh houses were.
But we was living in North Kensington.
We was living in one room.
The rent was 3 shillings and 6 pence per week, We couldn't afford no lino. We had no carpets.
Not many people did have carpets in those days. We just had bare boards, a couple of wooden chairs and a table.
And a small rug. I scrubbed those boards every day to keep the place looking clean. I like to keep it neat and tidy.
Then our daughter, Gertrude was born in 1913.
Harry chose the name. He insisted on it. You are my Gertrude and she is my darling Gertie. That's what he said.
But when the war broke out in 1914...
War declared. Germany
War
declares
declared.
war.
Germany
Europe
declares
in
war.
arms. England
Europe
at
at arms. England at war.
Deutschland in Krieg! Großbritannien entered Krieg!
Harry was one of the first called up, because he was on the reserves list. He left home on Monday the 5th of August, 1914.
Little Gertie was about 9 months old.
On the Sunday afternoon, we went round to my mother's to say goodbye. She didn't think that would be the last time she would see him.
Then we went round to my mother's house because we all lived in the same district. She was only round the corner.
Then in November, before he was shipped off to France, Harry had 2 days leave. After that, Harry never saw me, nor his daughter again.
Audience, we want you to come with us now to northern France.
Imagine this scene if you can, please.
Because we have no special lighting effects, no painted scenery, no authentic props.
Just ourselves. So it'll be more difficult for you, and for us.
But we will try our best to convince you.
So please, come with us now to northern France.
The date is the 18th of October, 1916. It is 6 o'clock in the morning.
The decisive day in Harry's life.
This place is called Carnoy. That's somewhere in northern France.
Grey day, grey sky.
Grey mud.
Grey figures.
In a grey landscape.
That morning, at dawn, I witnessed a scene none of us shall ever forget. Men I had known for years as decent, self-respecting soldiers begged me not to pick them for the firing squad. They offered me all they had if I would only not choose them, and they called me all the names under the sun.
We cursed him.
Begging not to be made into murderers.
I would not go through that again for £1,000. Not for £1,000.
The sight was horrible.
Made even more so by the fact that we was about to shoot one of our own.
A poor lad. We probably shared fags with a few days earlier.
Who showed us pictures of his mother and father.
His sister, Nellie.
His brothers, Jack and George.
A decent lad.
A chum of ours.
The sergeant told us.
Look, lads, the only humane thing you can do is to shoot straight. In for the heart, the white square. Anyway, there's one blank cartridge, so it probably won't be your shot that kills him. Just keep that in mind. It's probably not you that kills him.
So the sergeant chose the man with the longest service record for the firing squad.
Although we all hated the job, we obeyed orders.
Else it might be us out there, tied to the post.
Double rum rations were given to all in the firing squad.
I'd rather forget the rum, not be involved in any of the damned business.
I've never touched a drop of alcohol in my life, and I'm not about to start now.
There's that noise again. It's spinning round in my head, getting louder and louder.
While I was back in London, I had no idea what Harry was going through or where he was.
Gertrude, any news from dear old Harry?
Any letters from him, Gertrude?
Any news, dearie?
Nothing yet, Gertrude.
Well, I suppose no news is good news, that's what they say.
Quite right. No news is good news.
That's what they say.
That's right. No news, good news.
Anyway, this will all be over soon. You mark my words.
Definitely. Over by next Christmas.
Your husband will be home to slice the turkey at Christmas.
I bet you can't wait.
What a lovely treat.
Home by Christmas.
Definitely. Your husband will soon be back home, Gertie.
He'll be home soon. I can feel it in my bones.
Good old Harry, doing his bit for king and country.
For king and country.
God save the king.
Aye. God save the king.
You must feel really proud of your husband, Gertie.
2 years he's been at the front now. 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Is that right, Gertie?
What a shift that is. 2 years.
6 brothers from one family. That's what I call a real sacrifice.
6 brothers.
Bet your father must be proud of all his sons.
All 6 of his boys volunteering to fight the Hun.
And your dad himself, such a proud soldier in his day.
And grandfather before him.
But do you remember what Harry's mum always says?
None of my boys are going to be killed by a German bullet. You mark my words.
And I bet she's right.
Too damn right, she's right.
God bless Harry.
Aye.
God bless Harry. Wherever he is.
The execution of Private Harry Farr took place on the 18th of October, 1916.
There's that noise again. It's sharp and painful, shooting right through my body, like a hive of bees hammering inside my skull, getting louder and louder, louder and louder.
6 a.m. Cold, wet morning. Grey sky.
The only present were the accused, a chaplain who read some prayers,
A doctor. And myself, the officer in charge.
The officer in charge told us Harry refused to wear a blindfold.
He looked us straight in the eyes. Straight in the eyes! Very disconcerting.
Harry was a quiet, friendly sort of chap.
he assured us, the firing squad, that he bore us no ill.
After all, we were just following orders.
I had the job of pinning this scruffy piece of paper to his chest. His heart. I'd thought about it again and again the night before. I could cope with firing the rifle, but I thought of pinning that scruffy piece of paper on his chest. That really upset me. Made my stomach churn. Him looking at me all the time that I was pinning it on his chest. So I helped myself to double rum rations this morning.
That noise again. Sharp and painful, spinning round in my head, hammering inside my skull, louder and louder.
And then the order to fire was given.
He fell dead.
And, after a brief prayer, the firing party marched away.
As to the body, I don't know what happened to that.
Nobody knows where Harry was buried, or if he was actually buried at all.
No choirs of angels for that poor sod.
Probably left them in the mud.
Thrown into the mud, somewhere in northern France.
Grey day, grey sky,
Grey mud.
Grey figures.
In a grey landscape.
The 18th of October,
1916.
Then, one Wednesday morning, I received a letter from the War Office.
Letter from Mrs. Gertrude Farr.
That's me. The letter said,
Dear Madam,
We regret to inform you that your husband has been killed.
that's all it said. Killed.
No date.
No place.
what's up, Gertie? You look a bit taken aback.
Bad news, is it, Gertie?
It's not. Is it?
It's Harry. He's been killed.
What? Poor old Harry copped it.
No, I don't believe it. Harry, dead.
Is that right? Is he killed?
That's what the letter says.
Still, he died a hero, fighting for his country.
True. Real hero, your hubby Gertie.
You should be proud of your Harry's achievements.
Walk with your head held high, Gertrude.
Oh, don't you worry, dear. We'll all look in and help you out.
One big family, yes.
And now, we want to take you further back, to the 17th of September, 1916.
1 month before Harry's execution, so that you, the audience, can see what led up to it.
The place is somewhere in northern France. Somewhere. They all look the same. Grey sky.
Grey mud.
Grey figures in a cold, grey landscape.
Because we need to show you the events that led up to Harry's trial and execution. So follow carefully, please.
It is 9 o'clock in the morning.
Just as the soldiers are about to move up to the front again.
Private Harry Farr asked for permission to fall out, saying,
I'm not well. In my head. These noises again, sharp and painful.
He was sent to see the medical officer, who refused to see him, as he had no obvious sign of any physical injury.
Can you stand upright? Can you hold a rifle? Jolly good. Then you're fit for combat. Return to your retire at once. Go on then. Out of here.
Later that night, Private Farr was found at the rear and ordered again to return to the trenches.
He refused, saying,
I cannot stand this any longer. That noise again, spinning around in my head, sharp and painful. I can't get back there!
Farr! What do you mean you won't go back to the trenches? Farr, you are a bloody coward, and you will go back to the trenches. Listen, I don't care about my bloody life, and I don't care about your bloody life either. I'll personally make sure you get bloody well shot, Farr. Do you understand?
At 11 p.m. the same day, Private Farr was escorted back up to the front line.
They punched him and kicked him, swore at him and pushed him.
I'll personally make sure you get bloody well shot, Farr. You malingerer. I might even bloody well do it myself.
But Private Farr refused to stay and ran off.
The next morning, Private Farr was arrested and charged.
Contravening Section 4, Subsection 7 of the Army Act.
Offences in relation to the enemy, punishable by death.
Cowardly behaviour in the face of the enemy.
I got a couple of cards from Harry when he was in France. And later, I got a letter from him when he was in hospital in Le Havre.
The government never really told us about what was going on at the front. It was always about victories or the bravery of our lads in the newspapers.
But we soon learned about the reality of conditions over there.
We knew what our lads were going through.
Injured and wounded soldiers came home on leave. It was shocking to hear about the treatment of those young men out at the front.
Some of them were just boys, 17 or 18 years old. That's just a few years older than I am.
Many of them had to be deloused when they got home. They were full of vermin because of conditions at the front.
Shocking it was. Shocking.
Court-martial on active service took place 2 weeks later.
I hereby convene a Field General Court-Martial to trial the said person, 8871 Private Harry Farr.
By this point, Harry had already been at the front for 2 years without any leave.
Remember, no return to Blighty for Harry.
2 years of pounding shells.
Night and day, week after week.
Wailing and screaming.
Thumping into the earth.
Scattering mud and debris everywhere.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
There's that noise again. They never cease. Those whispering guns. Christ, I just want to go out and screech at them to stop. Stop, please.
Four soldiers were called up as witnesses, and they confirmed the sequence of events that led up to Harry's arrest.
Private Farr told me he was sick, sir.
He left his company the night previous, sir.
Private Farr was ordered to report sick at the dressing station, sir.
But the doctor at the dressing station would not see him, as he was not wounded, sir.
He was told to return to his battalion, sir.
Private Farr refused to go. This man is a bad soldier, likely to cause panic among the ranks, sir.
I cannot stand it any longer. That noise again. Sharp and painful, spinning around in my head.
Private Farr, do you wish to question any of these witnesses?
I would have gone back to the front if they hadn't punched and kicked me.
Harry was meant to be represented by a prisoner's friend, an officer who was there to help the accused during the trial.
But Harry had no friend to represent him.
This was not unusual, let me tell you. Not many of these poor sods had anyone to help them.
Private Farr tried to speak in his own defence.
I cannot stand it any longer. That noise. The noise of gunfire.
But he was a shaking, stuttering wreck.
His hands were trembling violently throughout the hearing.
We can all remember that during the last few weeks, Harry had 3 times asked leave to fall out and return to camp, as he could not stand the noise of the artillery.
Harry did not appear to understand what was happening to him.
Why did you not report sick before the morning of the 17th of September?
Harry said that when he was away from the sound of a shell fire, he felt better.
That didn't help him at all.
Then, the president of the court requested Private Farr's medical records.
But the medical records had been lost.
Misplaced.
But it didn't need a medical report or any doctor to realise that Harry was in no fit state to return to the front. It was obvious to everyone.
And there was no medical records at all.
Harry had spent several months in a hospital in Billund with a terrible case of shell shock.
And again, in April 1916, we know he'd been seen by another medical officer.
But we weren't called to give witness to any of this. and his medical reports had been lost.
No medical records at all.
The president of the court then asked to see Private Farr's service record.
Exemplary it was.
His conduct and character are very good.
A volunteer soldier, Private Farr enlisted immediately in 1914. He fought at Neuve Chapelle and Ober's Ridge.
18,000 British casualties in just 2 days of fighting there.
It says here that Private Farr had previously been treated for shell shock. What do we know about this, Sergeant?
But the medical officer who treated Harry was not there to give evidence.
No records available, sir.
Because the medical officer had been badly wounded and was in hospital himself.
6 years of service.
1 year and 11 months of active service spent in France. And the trial lasted just 20 minutes.
The findings of the court-martial were
8871, Private Harry Farr, 1st Battalion, West Yorkshire Regiment.
Charged. Misbehaving before the enemy in such a manner as to show cowardice.
Finding guilty to suffer death by being shot.
Memo to HQ. I consider this is a case where the sentence should be carried out as an example to the rest of the soldiers.
Memo to HQ. Agreed. I recommend that the extreme penalty be enforced.
Note to HQ. Agreed. The charge of cowardice is clearly proved.
Letter to HQ. I cannot say what has destroyed this man's nerves, but he has clearly proved himself incapable of keeping his head in action.
Memo to HQ. Agreed. I recommend that the extreme penalty be enforced.
I certify that 8871 Private Harry Farr was executed by firing squad at 6 a.m. on the 18th of October, 1916.
My death was instantaneous.
London. Gertrude has just received news of her husband's death. But we want you, dear audience, to think about the consequences this will have on Gertrude and her young daughter. For the next few scenes, Zuzu is representing the character Gertrude as she faces a number of difficulties over the following months.
I used to go to the post office every Monday to collect my allowance. And then, one day, about 7 months after Harry's death, Miss Stevenson, the postmistress, calls me over. She's known me since I was a little girl and was always kind to me.
Mrs. Farr, could I have a word with you? I'm sorry, but there's no pension available for you this week.
Well, why not? Is there a problem?
I'm not sure. It's probably just an error at the head office. I wouldn't worry about it.
I hope so. I couldn't survive without the pension, what with the baby and all.
I wouldn't worry about it, dear. But if something doesn't turn up soon, you could always apply for the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Organisation. In Barrow Lane, I'm sure they'd help you get through until it's sorted. In the meantime, take care.
Then, a couple of days after that, I got another letter from the War Office.
Letter from Miss Gertrude Farr.
The letter said,
Dear Madam, we regret to inform you that your husband has died. He was sentenced to death for cowardice and was shot at dawn on the 18th of October, 1916.
I just couldn't believe it.
Sentenced to death for cowardice.
I stuffed the letter down my blouse. I didn't want anyone to see it. For days on end, I kept reading it again and again.
sentenced to death for cowardice.
My Harry was no coward. The War Office must have got this wrong. It must be somebody else. I didn't show the letter to anyone, not even Harry's mum and dad. Then my friend Dot came to see me.
Gertrude, I brought you this little bonnet. It was the slip of material I'd left over after making Mum a night dress, and I thought I'd use it up. Waste not one, not a Gertrude. Oh look, I even put a piece of... Are you alright? Gertrude?
I don't know what to do, Dot.
Whatever do you mean? What's the matter?
I don't know how to say it.
Say what?
About our Harry.
We're all sorry to hear about Harry.
I'm destitute, Dot.
But you've got Harry's pension, widow's pension.
No, but I haven't, you see. The pension's been stopped.
Why?
What am I gonna do, Dot? I'll be out on the streets by next week. I've got no money left.
I'd like to help, Gert, but I can't do anything if you don't talk to me.
I can't tell you. I can't.
How long have we been friends, eh? Since that very first morning in Mill Lane School, when you came and sat down next to me. You can tell me anything. We're friends.
It's the shame and the stigma.
Are you in the problem? Have you been seeing another fella?
Oh, nothing like that.
Well, thank God for that. But if it's not that...
I can't say it. I can't.
I'd love to help, Gert, but I really can't stay here all day.
Wait. Read this. What? You can't tell anyone. Please. Please.
But how long have you had this letter?
I went to the post office 3 weeks ago and Miss Stevenson, the postmistress, she's known me since I was a little girl. She took me aside and she said, "I'm so sorry, Miss Farr, but there isn't any money left for you this week." And then a couple of days later I got that letter from the War Office saying that owing to the way Harry died, I'm not eligible for a pension any longer.
I don't get it, Gert. How was it Harry died?
Harry was shot at dawn.
Shot at dawn? You don't need to say
You can't
that,
tell anyone! Please! I'm not told anybody, not even Harry's mum and dad. Only Miss Stevenson from the post office knows that my pension's been stopped, but not why. She told me to apply to the Soldiers and Sailors Organisation for relief, so I went yesterday.
Mrs. Farr? Mrs. Farr, can I have a word with you?
Is it about me having to leave this room? I've been trying my best to find another place, but it's not easy with the baby and all.
The room looks spick and span, Mrs. Farr. I can see you do a marvellous job in keeping it clean and respectable.
Well, what is it you're here for then?
I'm on the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Committee. Perhaps you don't remember me. You came to apply for relief from us a few evenings ago.
Oh, I didn't know you was coming around to inspect me. You caught me unexpected. Oh, if you told me I was coming around, I'd have brought out my best cushions. Don't worry.
May I call you Gertrude?
Yes, ma'am.
Gertrude, I was much moved by your story at the committee meeting, and so I've decided to take a special interest in your sad plight. I have an aunt who lives in Youghal in Surrey, a Mrs. Dudgeon. She has a large house of a large staff. but due to war effort, she finds herself short of suitable staff. I'm sure my aunt will be able to find you a place in her house.
I'm not sure, Mum. That's in Surrey, you say? That's a long way, Mum. All my family live around this area.
I'll be able to give you the bus fare to go down there. It can't harm to go and look.
I don't know. I suppose I can go and see if I suit your aunt.
I'm sure you'll suit my aunt. Now, I'll arrange a day and time for you to go down there. You can even take your daughter with you. It sounds ideal, don't you think?
I suppose so. Thank you, Mum. I wish you told me he was coming round. I'd clean the room up nice and special.
So, dear audience, come back with us now to the trenches in France, because you see, we don't really know anything about Harry's life in the trenches.
He only wrote a couple of cards and one letter, but we don't have those now.
But we do have evidence from other soldiers just like Harry, who wrote in graphic detail about the reality of life in the trenches.
So let's hear what they said, and perhaps we might begin to understand why Harry behaved as he did.
2 years we've been here.
Every bloody day, rain.
That bloody rain.
Water everywhere, but ironically, not much clean drinking water. You know, we were so thirsty one day that we actually drank water out of shell holes. God knows what the shell hole contained.
That tasted grand.
It could hold anything. Very often parts of a human body, but we were so thirsty, we drank it cold, without boiling it at all.
Speaking of drinks, what I wouldn't do for a dram of Scottish whiskey now.
You know, when I was in school, we talk about all these wars. The Boer War, patriotism. I was worried when I joined up, because I thought the war would be over before I even got here.
No such bloody luck.
In about 30 seconds of arriving at the front, all that idealism was obliterated. It was nothing but mud and filth everywhere.
Mud. Mud everywhere. Mud in the trenches, mud in front of the trenches, mud behind the trenches. Every shell hole was a sea of filthy, oozing mud.
And all the chaps already here, they just look like tramps, all plastered with dirt, unshaven, filthy.
To see men sinking into the slime, dying in the slime. Think that finished me off?
Thing I fear the most, getting trench foot. My mate, he lost all his toes on his right foot from that.
You're a bit quiet, Jack. What are you thinking about, pal? Being back home in Blighty?
I was just thinking of when I first arrived at the trenches 4 o'clock in the morning, you know.
A young lad like you should be tucked up in bed at that time of morning.
You know, I remember that first shell that came across. Landed not many yards from where I was standing. The whole earth seemed to tremble at that moment. Sandbags, rifles, and equipment went soaring up into the air. And a terrible show of earth rained down all over us.
That's what we like to call the welcoming committee. Looks like they were putting on a bit of a show for you new recruits.
After that, the bombardment began in real earnest. Every 3 minutes, or possibly every minute, another shell came across, and the noise, it was just terrifying.
That same noise, it goes on from dawn until around midday, before there is any cessation. By that time, the trenches...
Hello, he's off again. See what you've done now? You've told us all this hundreds of times, Matt. Can you not change your tune?
By that time, the trenches, just quagmire, earthworks, barbed wire, blown to pieces.
For God's sake, Matt, tell us another tale.
Leave him be. He's not well.
The result is that practically the entire front line is a series of holes in which men crouching, waiting for the end.
Well, then there were the rats. You and your bloody rats.
I hate those bloody rats because you got no means of getting rid of them.
They say they make quite good pets.
Then they would putrefy and be worse than if you left them alone. Some of them were huge, as big as cats. Horrible great things.
When I was home on sick leave last year, all these people kept asking me if I was frightened. Of course I was frightened, I would say.
You should have invited them to come and try it for themselves. That would have put a sock in it.
You always keep thinking. You wake up suddenly, find it was all a dream.
The dram of whiskey is my dream.
I remember my first mustard gas attack. Never seen men so terror-stricken. They were tearing at their throats, and their eyes were just glaring out.
Leave it off, Jack.
Blood was streaming from those that were wounded, and they were tumbling all over one another. Those who had fallen, they couldn't get back up because of the rush and the panic of the men behind them.
I said leave it, Jack. We all lost mates in that attack.
Bully beef, jam, cheese and bread. Bully beef, jam, cheese and bread. That's what gets me. Every bloody day. When are we going to get that steak and kidney pie? That's what I want to know.
Do you ever think of anything other than food?
No. There's not exactly anything else to think about.
Well, I know what I think about. Going home. And soon.
You know, I can see that bottle of whiskey in my mind now. It's really clear.
Me too.
Get your hands off it, it's mine.
Together, these experiences become so depressing to the vital resistance of the nervous system that a time must come when even the strongest man will succumb. And a shell bursting nearby may produce a sudden loss of consciousness, not by concussion, but by acting as the last straw on an utterly exhausted nervous system, worn out by the stress of trench warfare and want of sleep.
Mrs. Farr? Mrs. Farr, could I have a word? Good morning, Rebecca. How are you these days, Mrs. Farr? Very up, I trust. I thought you might like to know I received a letter from the chaplain who was present at your husband's execution.
Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I've had enough letters.
But wait, my dear, I think you'll be interested in this. The chaplain said in the letter, let me read you exactly what he said in the letter. I was with him when he was shot, and tell his wife that he was no coward. A finer soldier never lived. A finer soldier never lived. Those were his words.
Thank you very much.
I thought you might like to know.
Knowing doesn't bring him back. Knowing doesn't feed my daughter. Knowing doesn't wash away the shame.
I think we can all understand your grief, Mrs. Farr.
No, you can't.
With all due respect, you can't.
The noise was interminable. Like a child beating his head against a concrete wall. If only I could grab the noise out of my body. Grab hold of it once and for all. Throw it into this foul mud here. And stamp on it until it was dead. Until this cold sound could torment me no more.
Dear audience, perhaps now you too understand why Harry refused to return to the trenches. Ask yourself this question: how would I have reacted in these circumstances?
Gertrude might have broke the news of Harry's execution for cowardice to his family, his mother, father, and sister. A family which had a long record of military service. Gertrude also faces several other difficulties. Because she has no widow's pension, she's been evicted from her lodgings.
Gertie, what's this about you having to leave your room in Kensington?
There's no space here with us. It's no use thinking about that.
You're looking very pale these days, Gertie. Are you sure you're feeling all right?
Bringing shame onto the family name.
Leave the girl alone.
You'll end up in the workhouse if you carry on this way much longer. Mother says you've gotten yourself into debt, girl. Is that right?
Take no mind of him, Gertie. He's just worried about you.
But where's all this money going? Harry's death must have been hard for you. We understand that. So is it true that you're in debt with rent arrears?
We've never had the shame of anybody in this family having to go cap in hand looking for charity.
You're not yourself these days, Gertie. What's wrong?
I had to leave my lodgings at the end of last week, but a friend let me use her room. She's got a room in a house down the road.
I don't understand, Gertie. How has all this come about?
A lady on the Soldiers and Sailors Committee has offered me a job with her aunt in Yule, who needs a housemaid.
Yule? That's miles away.
I've got no choice, Nellie. It's that old begging on the streets.
What the devil have you been doing with your war winners' pension? There's enough for you and your daughter to live on, isn't there?
There would be enough, yes. But there is no pension.
Why is there no pension, Gertie?
Because
what's this? This can't be right. This can't be our Harry.
Show me. No! This can't be right!
How long have you had this letter, Gertie?
weeks. Several weeks.
Why haven't you showed us it before?
Who knows about the contents of this letter.
Nobody. I haven't shown anybody else.
That's how it must stay. Forever. Nobody must ever know about the contents of this letter.
There must be something we can do.
No! I don't want any discussion. As far as I am concerned, from this moment, Harry never existed. Do you understand? Perhaps it's for the best that you are moving away from this area, Gertie, to somewhere where you are not known. Less questions to be answered. As far as I am concerned, this matter is closed. As for you, Gertie, I don't know how you will live with the shame of having a coward as a husband. Shut at dawn.
What a terrible thing to say about our son.
The nightmares come creeping across the floor. It is littered with parcels of dead flesh and bones, faces glaring up at the ceiling, hands clutching neck or belly. A livid, grinning face peers at me over the edge of my bed, its hands clutching my sheets. I don't think they mean me any harm. One boy crawls towards me, painfully, on hands and knees, fumbling in his tunic for a letter. Just as he reaches forward to hand it to me, he collapses onto the floor, and the blood spreads across his pale white face like ink spilt on blotting paper. I wish I could sleep forever.
So, dear audience, what do we know about Harry's stay in hospital in 1915?
Private Harry Farr was escorted here in Boulogne in May 1915 with a terrible case of the shakes. Shell shock.
This was several days after he was involved in the battle at Ober's Ridge.
The British attack was intended to send in 2 divisions, surround the enemy, and make significant advances.
The British lads went over the top early on the 9th of May. They were instantly cut down by German machine gun fire. The survivors were pinned down in no man's land.
Early on the 10th of May, the offensive was ended. No significant progress was made. The British suffered 11,000 casualties in one day of fighting.
Just before being sent here to the field hospital, the patient, Private Harry Farr, Spent 5 days and 6 nights in the trenches under constant artillery bombardment.
The noises made by the shells and the uncertainty of where they would strike caused the patient great uneasiness and strain.
The patient's comrades remarked that he did not answer when they spoke to him, and indeed appeared not to realise they were speaking to him at all.
Harry couldn't hold a weapon properly, nor shoot accurately.
He was very shaky and suffered much from headache.
The patient was diagnosed with a form of temporary nervous breakdown.
Neurasthenia, increasingly common in the present war.
A condition ascribed to a sudden or alarming event, such as witnessing a ghastly sight or a harassing experience.
The patient is very nervy, unduly emotional and a bit shaky.
His sleep is disturbed by dreams of experiences through which he has passed. Even the waking hours may be distressful.
Harry said there was a sound, like the roar of an express train, barreling towards him at tremendous speeds, with a loud, singing, wailing noise.
It kept coming and coming, and he wondered if it would ever burst.
Then, when it seemed right on top of him, it exploded with a shattering crash that made the earth tremble.
It felt like a blow to his face, the stomach, and all over. It felt like being struck unexpectedly by a huge wave in the ocean.
Recovery from shell shock is usually satisfactory, especially if the patient is sent home for complete rest.
But Harry, unlike many officers suffering from a similar diagnosis, was not sent home.
Private Farr spent several months at the field hospital.
He shook all the time.
If you were in the ranks and you were suffering from shell shock, then you were classed as a malingerer.
If you were an officer, a gentleman, then you were sent home for rest and recuperation in the bosom of your family.
Eventually we got a nurse to write for Harry, as his hand was shaking all the time. He wanted to write a letter home to his wife, Gertrude.
Dear Gertrude, I would give 10 seconds. Dear Gertrude, I would give 10 years of my life to see you and the baby for just a few seconds. But I see you 1,000 times in my mind, both day and night. I know you can and will care for our little one. Fetch her up as like yourself, and she will not have many enemies in the world. I will close now. With love to you and the baby.
Then he was sent back to the front because there was to be another big push coming. The Battle of the Somme.
He wasn't capable of holding a pen, yet he was declared fit and sent back to his battalion.
Surrey. It was a lonely time in her life. She was cut off from her family and knew no one in the area. It was a desperate and miserable time for Gertrude. But one Sunday afternoon, her friend Dot came to see her with an offer of work in London. For the last sections of our drama, Sawyer will represent Gertrude.
Gertie! Thanks for coming all this way to see me, Dot.
afraid I haven't got any refreshments to offer you.
What a journey that was. I even had to ask at the bus stop where yours was. It's miles and miles from anywhere.
I know, Dot, but it's little Gertie I'm worried about. She has no one to play with here.
I don't know how you stand out here, Gert. It's miles from London.
I thought I'd get used to it by now, Dot, but I haven't at all.
You must be blooming lonely.
I mean, it takes a lot of getting used to.
And how much do you get paid?
7 shillings a week.
7 shillings a week? That's daylight robbery.
It's the best I can do at the moment. Beggars can't be choosers.
Well, Gert, how would you like to come and work in London again?
London, Dot? Oh, anywhere to get away from this place. It's so lonely down here. And I miss my dear mother and you and your family. Even though I know they're probably not speaking to me.
Nonsense. I think we can find your position as a housemaid when my mother works in Highgate. Church Row? Lord Lady Arkwright's place.
Could you really do that, Dot? That would be grand.
And I think they'll even let you bring little Gertie with you. Come on, Gert, pack your bags. Come back home to Kensington.
Gertie? Come on, Gertie. Pack your bags. We're going to London. I've got a new job.
Life at Church Row, Mum's new job, was much better. For a start, Lord and Lady Arkwright treated me just like their own daughter. They already had 2 of their own daughters, but they often gave me coats and dresses when their daughters had grown out of them. I'd never been so well dressed in my life. I think that was one of the best periods in our life.
And I was lucky enough to get some help from Lord Clarendon. He was a regular visitor at the Arkwright's house, dinner parties and all that. Well, one night, I was asked to wait on the main table. I didn't usually do that, but the parlour maid had the night off.
She was going to the moving picture show with her boyfriend.
So they asked me if I'd mind waiting on the table. Lord and Lady Arkwright must have said something to him, because at the end of the night, Lord Clarendon calls me over.
Mrs. Farr, Lord and Lady Arkwright have told me about your situation, and I think I might be able to help you and your daughter. Here, child, your mother and I need to talk in private. Why don't you look out that window, see how many stars you can count?
Thank you, sir.
You see, I know a few chaps from the law office. I went to school with them. I could put in a word or 2 with them. No guarantees, of course. Now, please, I insist. Can you give me all the information you have so I can pass it on to help plead your case?
What kinds of information, sir? I don't really have no information.
What about letters from your husband?
Letters?
Surely you must have had some communication with him whilst he was in France.
I only got the one letter from Harry from when he was in hospital in France.
Hospital, right. Sounds ideal. And you say he wrote it while wounded in hospital in France?
Well, he wasn't wounded as such, but he was too ill to write. So Harry didn't actually write it, you see. They had to get a nurse to do it for him.
Well, it's a start. What else do you have?
Nothing else, sir. I got a couple of cards from Harry from when he was in France.
I'm afraid those can't be of much use. The lads weren't allowed to write much on those. What about medical reports?
Medical reports?
Doctor's reports from the hospital? There should have been reports written on his condition.
No, I haven't seen any of them, sir. Just the one letter from him.
Well, what did he say when he came home on leave?
Harry never got no leave. I was expecting him to come home after he'd been in the hospital, but he never. He got sent straight back to the front.
Well then, what about his trial? Did you get a transcript of his trial?
No, never seen that, sir.
Well, I'll do what I can, Mrs. Farr, but don't get your hopes up too much. I'll do my best, dear. Child, how many can you see?
Oh, hundreds, sir. Hundreds.
Jolly good.
So I didn't get my hopes up. But then, a couple of weeks later, I got a letter from the War Office saying that my daughter had been granted an allowance, 10 shillings a week. So that was nice. But nothing for me. I gave him that letter and those cards. I never got him back. I wish he had given them back to us. That's all we had belonging to Dad.
So it was that Harry Farr died.
Yes, we know he literally died on the 18th of October, 1916.
But this is the moment. Harry Farr really died.
The moment when he disappeared.
When he became a non-person.
The moment he was erased from the family memory.
The moment we all stopped talking about him.
The moment the blinds were drawn down over his memory.
What's this I hear about Harry's death?
Oh, we don't talk about him anymore.
We don't mention Harry now.
No grave.
No name on the war memorial.
Just a shadow on the living room wallpaper.
The unwelcome intruder at a Christmas get-together.
It was as though his photo had been carefully removed from the family album.
Not even a shadow now.
Just a rumour.
Just a name whispered around the kitchen table.
Harry Farr. Who? Harry Farr. Never heard of him.
I felt alone, cut adrift. Life was very difficult. Just surviving, having enough money to put food on the kitchen table, washing, mending, cleaning, looking after my daughter Gertie. Harry chose that name. He was very insistent. She's my Gertie and you're my darling Gertrude. She was only 3 years old when her father was shot. She had no memories of him at all. That's when I started to realise that women are often the real victims of war. Women lose their husbands, their fathers, their sons in combat. Women are left with the responsibility of raising the children alone. And if you've got no family, they disowned me. Although I sometimes saw Harry's mother in the indoor market on a Saturday afternoon. But Harry's father never said a word to me again. She was a nice woman, always asking after my daughter. But apart from a few kind words every now and then, I was alone. I suffered something terrible during those early years.
But then she met her second husband, and they had 2 more children. He was incapacitated as a result of being gassed in the war and died at only 49 years old.
Terrible coffee, lad. Kept him up all night sometimes. But there was no point moping about it. I think all those experiences made me very determined, made me stronger.
And I suppose you might conclude that we're at the end of our tale. But wait, our story does not end here.
Dear audience, we need you to fast forward to the 1950s.
Come with us to the 1950s.
By 1950, little Gertrude Farr was now 40 years old and was Gertrude Harris with a family of my own. When I was a little girl, I used to say to my friends, the Germans shot my dad in the war. But it didn't mean anything to me because, well, I never knew him.
Now, Harry had a younger sister, Nellie. At 16, I'd gone to America to make a new life for myself out in the States.
She'd send us photos and a Christmas card once a year.
But one year, I decided to return home, back to London, for a visit.
And so, that is where, for the first time, I learned the truth about my father's death.
My, Nellie, you look a real treat.
A real swell. It seems you're obviously doing well in the States.
But you should come out there sometime, and you'd make a new life for yourself out there too.
Not me, sis. I'm happy here. Give me a good old London town any day.
And then there was talk about Harry again.
So, has anything more come to light about Uncle Harry's death? We don't talk about Uncle Harry anymore.
We don't say anything about Harry.
Lip seal.
What do you mean about Dad's death?
About him being shot as a coward. I'm so sorry. I thought you knew.
I don't understand. What are they talking about, Mum? Mum. I didn't want you ever to know. Why? I have a right to know. He was my father. I've had to live with that shame all my life. I didn't want to burden you all your life. You should have told me before. As I said, I didn't want to burden you. How did he die? What do you know about his death, his trial? Not much. Only what I was told by the War Office. Harry was shot for cowardice. Have you got any letters? Any details? Not now. I told you I got the letter from the War Office telling me he'd been shot. And the vicar said he'd got a letter from the chaplain saying, tell her that her husband was no coward. Don't you think we should try and do something? We could write to people, our MP for a start, the government. Try and find out more, especially if the chaplain said he was no coward. We can't just let it rest here. No. I don't want it all raked up again. I've had to live with the shame all these years and I don't want to resurrect all those feelings. Now you know why I can't watch those armistice programmes on the telly. All those puppies everywhere. I'm always thinking my Harry should be there. Mum. No. Please. And so, that web of silence continued for another 30 years. Until one day, my daughter Janet announced,
we're taking the girls to France this summer. We thought we'd go find Grandad's grave. Do you know where he's buried?
Court-martial papers from the War Office. Then they could really see what had happened to Harry. Before then, no one could prove what Harry had or hadn't done, because the papers hadn't been released.
Now we felt we were really making progress.
But then Mum died.
campaign was underway.
But when I introduced the bill to Parliament, it met opposition, notably from the Prime Minister, John Major, and the bill was defeated.
It would be wrong to try to rewrite the events of the past with modern philosophies and outlook.
I am not seeking to rewrite history. I am seeking clarity and justice. There were only 3 junior officers executed. My point is that there were hundreds, if not thousands of officers who suffered mental breakdown in the trenches and could not go on. But there were double standards. See, the officers were not court-martialed. Yet, if you were a working-class Tommy from London or any of the great cities of the land, you would certainly have been court-martialed.
And that just made us more determined. So we launched a campaign to take the Ministry of Defence to court on Harry's behalf.
We were never interested in compensation. We just wanted to clear Harry's name and remove the stigma. Every one of those 306 men was someone's son, someone's dad.
And finally, on the 16th of August 2006, the British High Court granted a pardon to Harry Farr.
This pardon acknowledges that Private Farr was not a coward, but an extremely brave man, having fought for practically 2 years in the trenches without respite. He was very obviously suffering from a condition we would now have no trouble in diagnosing as post-traumatic stress disorder, or shell shock, as it was known in 1916.
And to top it all, in October 2006, the other 305 lads got their pardons too.
I'm so relieved that this ordeal is now over, and I can be content knowing that my father's memory is intact. I've always argued that my father's refusal to rejoin the front line, described in the court-martial as resulting from cowardice, was in fact the result of shell shock, and that many other men suffered this, not just my father. When I was a little girl, I used to say to my friends, the Germans shot my dad in the war, but they didn't, did they? Fighting to clear his name made him come alive for me, gave me a real person, a real father. I didn't have one before.
Mum died in 2015. 101 she was. Thankfully, she lived to see her father exonerated, and even helped to unveil the Shot at Dawn Memorial in the Arboretum in Staffordshire. My husband and I visited there with the Archbishop of Canterbury in 2015. Such a peaceful place. We could think about Harry there and reflect on what had happened. The ceremony was like a second baptism for Harry.
I shall sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be cleansed from your uncleanness.
A new heart I will give you, and a new spirit I will put within you.
And I will remove from your body the heart of stone, and give you the heart of flesh.
Dear audience, thank you for listening to our tale this evening about the man who disappeared and the woman who tried to remember him before he disappeared. This was a story about a real person, not some theatrical concoction, not some dramatic fantasy, not some invented melodrama. Harry Farr, that was my name. I could have been your father. I could have been your brother or your favourite uncle, a friend you played with in the schoolyard. Remember these facts, please, and perhaps we might all learn a lesson. I want to thank you once again for giving us your full attention this evening.